Super League teams face a European exit. Perez outlines the positives, Klopp has his say, and a transfer roundup all coming up in the next few minutes. As I'm your host, Matt Froelich, you are the OneFootballers, and this is the Daily News. So first off, and of course, the fallout over the European Super League continues to rage on, and there has been so much reaction from absolutely everybody. First off, thanks so much for getting involved in the comment section yesterday. I actually saw some really interesting points. The majority of you, of course, against the Super League, but there are a few of you who were for it and for some rather interesting reasons. But in fact, a lot of the footballing community hasn't reacted so well, and it's led to some extraordinary threats. One of them, and apparently this has come from one of the Danish heads of their FA and a UEFA committee member, who has said that by Friday he expects the Champions League and the Europa League to dispel of all the teams that are planning to join this European Super League. That would mean that PSG are the only team left in the Champions League. Because Manchester City, Chelsea and Real Madrid are one of the 12 founding teams of the Super League, does this mean that PSG win the Champions League? It's either that or they reinstate Dortmund, Bayern and Porto into the semi-finals. Obviously, PSG want to win the Champions League. I don't think they quite want to win it this way. And this would be such a bizarre way of just going to win it, just being given it by default because loads of other teams decided to leave. Anyway, aside from this, there of course have been other threats in the Premier League. They'll be kicked out, they'll be docked points, they could be relegated, sent into the National League. And there is so much more information. So if I'm glancing down, it's because my laptop is just there as I'm trying to get all this information together for all of you guys. But moving on, and to probably the biggest reaction of the day and the biggest interview that you've ever seen from Florentino Perez, and that is saying something. Basically, the Real Madrid chairman came out, and he is now the chairman of the European Super League as well, and outlined every single positive for the Super League. And although I'm not completely swayed by everything that he said, there are some rather interesting points to come out of it. Firstly, he was mentioning that the interest in football is heavily decreasing. He said that a lot of 16 to 24-year-olds, the Gen Z generation, who they rely on for a lot of their interest, well, they'd rather be playing video games like FIFA and aren't really interested in the Champions League until at least the quarterfinals. He may have a point there. I don't know. I wasn't part of the survey. I can't really judge the validity of this survey, for example, but they obviously feel that they need to change things up and make things more attractive on the European scene. Alongside this, there is also the fact that he is in charge of Real Madrid, who have lost a lot of money during the pandemic, and so have so many other clubs. I don't really see this as like the perfect excuse, but of course money is going to be involved. By the way, whether you're for the Super League, against the Super League, you're for the Champions League, against the Champions League, this, that and the other, it's all going to come down to money at the end of the day. Of course, there's just a bit more involved in the Super League, but that's not to say that that's money that could not have been available if UEFA don't take such a big share of the Champions League revenue, for example, every single season. He also goes on to say that the television rights is what makes these clubs the money, and if they were to get a bigger share of it, by breaking off into this European Super League, they'll then go and spend money on the other clubs' players, which it kind of ruins the competition in some ways, but then he's saying it's a positive because then the clubs will get the money, but then that's only if the clubs have a player that's worthy of being bought by one of the European Super League teams, so I don't think he wants them buying off each other. This one's a little bit confusing, and it really raises the question that I've seen from so many of you guys, and it seems to be one of two main questions about the European Super League. First off, is there competition in it? Florentino Perez has said that 5 places in the European Super League will be available to earn, and this basically goes with what Leeds United were saying last night as they warmed up a t-shirt to their Premier League game against Liverpool with the words "earn it" on the back, referring to the fact that Liverpool, as well as the other 12 founding teams, don't have to earn their place in the European Super League. So that's one of the big questions that I've seen thrown around on social media quite a lot. And secondly, how is the money going to trickle down? And this is what I mentioned before. So Florentino Perez seems to think that buying smaller teams' players will eventually have the money trickle down, but that's not a guarantee. So there's a few questions around that which I don't quite understand for the future, but I guess, look, at this moment in time, and like I mentioned to quite a few of you yesterday in the comment section, we don't have all the information. On top of this, Perez also mentioned that there's going to be no return for Cristiano Ronaldo to the club, and he has no idea whether Zinedine Zidane will stay or not at the end of the season. Moving on then, and to some reaction from the Premier League, and Jurgen Klopp had his say, and basically his stance hasn't changed since he spoke about the Super League a few years ago. That is that he does not want to be a part of it and that it ruins football, and James Milner echoed that sentiment. This is actually a really sticky situation for the players and the coaches to be involved in, because Thomas Tuchel was involved in it as well in his press conference earlier in the day at Chelsea. He kind of basically said that he was here to coach the club and that the club make decisions for the club. It's very difficult. You don't want to go directly against your owners, because if Liverpool turned around and fired Jurgen Klopp, yes, he'd get a lot of credit for standing up to the Super League. He'd also be without a job. Anyway, last night there was actually some regular on-the-pitch football, and we spoke about Leeds Liverpool game, and finally we will talk about the match as it ended in a 1-1 draw. Now, Liverpool, of course, have no idea where they'll actually be in the Premier League next season, but a point took them just a little bit closer to finishing aside the top 4 and those Champions League spaces. They went ahead thanks to Sadio Mane's first goal in 10 games. Out of all of this, it's unbelievable. I didn't ever know he went on such a long goal drought. Anyway, Mane found the back of the net, but a late header from Llorente meant that Marcelo Bielsa's side managed to come away with a point, and Leeds continue their impressive first season back in the Premier League. Finally then, we come to a quick roundup of the rest of the day's transfer news, and talking of Liverpool, they're reportedly interested in signing Aston Villa's Ollie Watkins just one season after he joined the club from Championship side Brentford. Elsewhere, and the favourite to take over Jose Mourinho at Tottenham, according to the bookies at the moment, is Julian Nagelsmann. Patrick Vieira could be close to a new job after leaving Nice in December, with reports that he's going to take over from Roy Hodgson at Crystal Palace. And lastly but not least, Chelsea boss Thomas Tuchel is preparing the signing of another German player, that in the large shape of Niklas Süle from Bayern Munich. So there you have it then, that's all from me for today. Check out everything else we've got going on. Let me know your thoughts down below, and until next time, we will see you guys later.